People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
So, where were we? Ah, yes. The First Descendant. A game that was just made, I guess, to rival free-to-play MMO-like shooters such as Warframe and or Destiny. Please note that on this journey that I'm embarking you on, all missions and activities revolving around the story were all done solo. With that out of the way, let's begin our journey proper after the smackdown we got from Carl that still haunts me to this day. So let's start with this, shall we? Albion, our hub, which is nice looking. Yeah, it's not as compact as the Warframe ship with how small that is. However, it's direct enough where all the systems you need to deal with to make yourself stronger are just 10 to 15 seconds away from each other, give or take. We meet up with our new friend, the Guide, which turns out to be an AI that was inside the Ironheart at the time. Our main objective at this point is just to get the other pieces of the Triforce. I mean, the other two Ironhearts, so Carl won't have free use to eradicate the human race. To do so, we need to upgrade the Guide, so she can work more adequately in locating the MacGuffins. We are dropped into Kingston, our first region. Each region consists of 4 to 5 noteworthy locations in the general vicinity. Keep this in mind for later. We get the lowdown from Marcus that Vulgus have taken off communication to the others here, so we gotta deal with that before we can upgrade the Guide. Which I should bring up, they turned the Guide from a bunch of light into a bona fide baddie. She got that full glow up treatment. Those ancestors must have been cooking real hard. Missions are plastered all over the map, listing enemy levels, rewards, and average time completion. Which I mean, is nice. However, there is an underlying issue with it that we will talk about later. In order for us to reset comms for the homies here in Kingston, we gotta show the Vulgus the meaning of justice the only way we know how. We do missions here, which just revolves around killing Vulgus, and killing Vulgus. While we are doing them, however, we find out who's holding down Kingston with an iron fist. His name is Greg? Really? So we got built like a car Carl, who is our main antagonist. Keep in mind, yes, I call him Carl, but his actual name is Corral, which is kind of unique, but not too bland, yeah. Now we have a commander just named Greg. Like, these aliens are from a different place entirely than on this version of Earth. The peeps in the creative room were probably like, "Oh guys, let's figure out what to name the first commander for our players to deal with." And one guy, you know, he's got the shades, he's got the 6-pack of beer, he's like writing these notes as if he was Picasso. He's like, yes, okay, and when he's got he's cooking up the right idea, and he goes like, "I got it. Let's name him Greg." Silence. Yeah, let's name him Greg. Yeah. The man probably got promoted for that. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. But it's also like, Greg sounds like a guy who works at a Wendy's drive-thru from a 9 to 5 shift, and not like a villainous race of aliens they gotta deal with, you know? We do some basic missions leading into our first different mission type, defense. To kill the Vulgus, stay in the highlighted area, and don't let the Vulgus enter the area as it halts progress. Putting us towards the communicator that needs to be activated, being guarded by a small group of Vulgus, which we should start talking a bit about now. There are 3 different armies that are Vulgus. We have the Legion of Darkness, Legion of Immortality, and the Order of Truth. Design-wise, they look alright. You can tell there is obviously something otherworldly to them after all, be it from their sizes or just armor. However, what I did have to do a double take for was when hearing the grunts start mocking the Descendant by shouting, "Descendant, loser!"
Double, triple kill.
Oh, I'm the man! Oh, yeah, we bad! Oh, yeah, we bad!
Now, let's go for every type of mission that will occur in the game. We already talked about defense, so that's one. Hack! You hold down an area while killing Vulgus and collecting samples off their bodies to hack into things, because apparently collecting samples is how we hack into things in the future. The more you know, I guess, you know? Seizure. Activate a system, just stay in the area and kill enemies. Pretty simplistic, you know? Then you destroy that battery from the area and bring it to a specific location. Easy clap, you know? Exterminate. It's kind of in the name, you know? Just kill Vulgus. Sometimes you gotta grab some samples off their dead bodies while you kill them over and over again. Yeah, that's how that one works. Power, shut down, kill enemies. You plant the bombs that enemies drop, and you kill a certain marked enemy that shows up at the end, and you win pretty much. Transport disruption. Kill enemies, interact with a transporter, then it drops these small shards around the whole area. You gotta stay in the vicinity of those small shards for 6-7 seconds.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yeah, I know, my bad guys. There won't be any more of that in this video, don't worry. Or will there be? Supply. Kill Vulgus, interact with samples, and bring them to a robot till you reach 100%. Pretty much a combination of seizure and hack. Composite. Kill waves of enemies while defending an area. The only difference between this and defense, it doesn't matter if any of the Vulgus are in the area that you're defending. So it pretty much becomes an extermination mission, but you gotta stay in the circle. Multi-seizure. It's like regular seizure, but it's just there's an extra point you gotta do. Barrier deactivation. Stay in the barrier, kill the Vulgus that keep coming in and don't stop coming in and don't stop coming in and don't stop coming. Back to the rules and I hit the ground running. Until a VIP shows up. Kill the VIP and you're done. You have to stay in the barrier the whole time during the mission as well, otherwise it's null and void. Search. Defend the drone and move it while staying in range for you to shield it towards the goal. Shoot enemies on the way. Pretty much an escort quest. In total we have 10 to 11 modes. Some being a variation of one another, some even getting a multi-version of themselves as well. Keep this in mind as we continue through this journey. We rendezvous with Bunny at the next area by going for a gate. Judging from the map, it seems to be a passageway to another area, right? Wrong! It just teleports you to the other side to the new location that you unlocked. Which isn't the issue. Teleporting isn't the problem, it's the fact the map shows a chunk of the area, not even just a line, but sometimes the length of a hallway, and not a wall with a gate blocking entry into the next area. I get the gates may be there since the game is on consoles. Gotta remember too, this is an Unreal Engine 5 game and it would put a massive toll on PS4 for instance since this game is on last generation hardware as well. However, a good example of a UE5 game being brought over to the PS4 is Marvel Rivals. With that port being at a lower resolution so that when you hear I'm opening a portal, your whole house doesn't blow up. Why have the map render in these small ass little hallways in the first place, giving off the impression that it can be seamless then? There's no point to that. Another issue with that is the description of gates. All the experienced descendants can go through. Like, what the hell does that mean? Experience in what? Experience in shooting a gun? Experience in knowing like 5 languages? Experience in knowing how to eat food with a fork and knife? Like, we get what it is. But you can also have just stated it was locked until you did these missions or what that the Vulgus have controlled over the gates or something. We meet with Bunny, who just leaves to do her own thing, while we are focused on that mission grind. Once we are clear from mission duty, we finally get access to our first non-open world mission, that being an instance dungeon. The Magister ruins are not what I was expecting it to be, is the best way to say it. Like, yeah, the linear nature of it allows it to be more creative, but it's not. They have objectives like defending the area and doing all the usual stuff you would do in the open areas. Would I say it was bad though? No, not really.
I mean, it's alright, like...
We get called back to Albion to report to Alpha.
Which happens a lot, by the way.
Man crashes out, talking about how can we trust the guide, because she is some evil entity that is gonna betray us all and kill us. Yap, 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 yap. The only good thing is the line delivery of this.
Just how much do you plan to rely on that guide?
After that annoying pit stop, we head back to Kingston, doing more of the open world missions, leading us to speak to the manager Greg and demand that he gives us all the data for free. Alright, folks. We got our next instant dungeon! Greg's Fortress. Let's see what this entails. It's an overall alright one, more so good, because we finally get our first actual boss. In a sense of progression, the dungeon is slightly different. You gotta get rid of a receiver that the Vulgus is using by getting rid of them to take its barrier off. Rinse and repeat twice.
1 million zillion jillion dillion cotillion times later.
We meet our mortal rival Greg, who already has begun transferring all the data to Carl. We fight him, which is unique to say the least. He's got 3 health bars that you just delete. Between health bars, he has invulns, having us have to kill all the enemies that are tethered to him to get rid of it. Rinse and repeat till dead pretty much. Boss was okay overall though. Not as menacing as it should be. Greg is no more. We head back to Albion with a job well done. God explains that if anything were to happen to her, the failsafe for the Ironheart can repair her. She also mentions how strange it is that the Vulgus was able to know about the Ancestor archives. But we know if there is an ancestor among them, they are hella sus! Our convo is interrupted, however, once we get an alert that a Colossus is on its way, so we just get ready to suit up for that. This would be the perfect time to mention the module system, which is pretty much just a Warframe system. It allows you to modulate the Descendant that you're playing as and the weapons you use, making it so you can better handle whatever you're up against, be it Colossus or just open world missions. You go to Seneca? I don't know what how to say their name in all honesty, but we're gonna call them Seneca from now on. To get the lowdown, turns out it's the same one that we found in the tutorial from my previous video, if you recall. In regards to information given about the Colossus, I find great that they say what parts are breakable in the Colossus' body, and what to really focus on when it's in frenzy. It's a great addition to help understand what to be aware of, so thumbs up for that. The fight is similar to the tutorial boss with some nice additions to actually make it more fulfilling as a boss. 2 phases occur, its regular and frenzy phase. Summons adds and mainly just bombards you with missiles and some gunshots till you're dead, till it activates its frenzy mode, where it begins to just summon more potent adds and just keeps aggression on you by pelting you, which in turn requires you to shoot its canisters on its legs since everything else around it or on its body takes no damage. Bring it out of its frenzy mode and it will do a combination of moves from both phases. A proper fight, especially after a letdown of how it treated its tutorial version counterpart. We report back, being called for another operation. Alpha tells us that another Ironheart has entered the building. Speeding through and teleporting, we end up at our second location, the Sterile Land. Now I'm just gonna say this now to get out of the way before I come off as a yappington. You know what you experienced in the first area just now? That's the whole game! Like it's a cycle! A never-ending cycle that doesn't stop! Oh, why don't you go do 2 random open world missions for us? Well, we probably do more cool shit! Oh, you wanted to push through and infiltrate the munitions factory like right away? Nuh-uh! Not allowed! We'll let the NPC that tells you to slow down to get to do more interesting stuff while you just sit there watching a video as you are trying to keep your mental sanity without repetition fails! Now, before I go on another tangent, from here on out, I'm just going to be talking about the locations, the only points of the story that are actually decent, and the dungeons. Another thing is whatever this bumbling buffoon is. Like, I don't want to deal with an egotistical, bitchy crybaby that sounds like an iPad kid who got their iPad taken out of their hands for the span of 10 seconds. Like, okay, we get the whole idea of the token character that you're supposed to hate. But this makes the character much less hated, and more so just annoying because it never stops. But there is one instance where I was screaming at my screen because of how bad it was in a single cutscene. Which, don't worry, we'll get there. Anyways, God, that was terminal. Sterile Land is just that. Sterile Land. Very original, guys. It's just got that canyon aesthetic, you know, a canyon. Nothing really much outside of that to really talk about though, location-wise. The first dungeon here, the Forgottenness mission. It's a good dungeon, especially since it's a step up from the 2 we had in Kingston. Having some leaps into grapples, level design showing more of its ancient nature of being a place that the Ironheart would have been at some point, with its hard stone walls mixing with the blocky nature. It's a good contrast from the rocky nature of the canyon, complementing each other. Boss fight with Terralek was more interesting than my man Greg's. A Terralek can do some lightning based moves, be it just shooting you to slams and the like. His invuln is he has 3 drones that need to be destroyed, which later on turns into a proper shield that protects him from you, which all you gotta do is melt it and melt him alongside it. A good step in the direction, better than the Kingston boss, which was Greg, even though that's a low bar. We are treated to a cutscene that shows even Carl's forces can be corrupted by the Void, in turn looking into augmenting his troops with the power of the Ironheart. We head back to Albion to report our findings to crash out King Alpha, which is the same old. I should mention you have to do this every time you finish a dungeon, which is absolutely ridiculous since it ruins the pacing of things occurring. It's like going from locked in to haha funny dude. It just makes me sigh in disbelief every time because it happens so goddamn often. So I'll keep these story points out so I don't have to sound like a broken record to y'all. We head back to Sterile Land, doing the usual stuff till we get our next dungeon, the Unknown Laboratory. Usual layout, kill guards, get rid of an array till you get to the end. Boss is a wannabe Greg clone. Same invuln and everything, only difference is the amount of flame-based enemies he spawns, and he shoots fire energy pretty much. The group realized the traces they were following were from the soldier that was being augmented, meaning this was just a wild goose chase. But Guy does get her powers to work more effectively afterwards to be able to track Ironhearts in general. We reach out to iPad Crybaby of the Year, Jeremy, to get the report that they were looking through. He cries about how he doesn't get the recognition he deserves and whatnot, calling us schizo because we can see the guide and he can't. During this, we also hear about how he got slapped hard by Alpha. Man, I can just imagine it now. Before we head out to find where the second Ironheart was taken, another Colossus fight appears. Stunning beauty is her name, and shocking is her game. Decent fight, requiring you to be more on your toes than the previous fight. She teleports around the place, summoning ads, using their tendrils to shoot fall balls at you. Her frenzy phase is unique as you can only shoot the large eye she materializes when it's open. In order to dodge the attack, you gotta line of sight it, adding a bit more of a risk of reward situation of when and how long you can be peeking before you take damage. The design overall for her is pretty clean and much more of a fight than the last one. We get the reading of where the second Ironheart was taken, leading us to a place called Vesper. Exploring the region leads us to finding a place where the Ironheart readings are coming from, which is the Sepulchre. Issue is, it's covered in deadly poison gas that Freyna and Glade can make an antibody for. While we do open world mission. Sepulchre as a dungeon is the usual structure. Run and gun, destroy a communicator or jammer, and beat a boss. The area looks similar to the ruins from Kingston. Not that much, but I digress. Boss is just another wannabe Greg, with the same invuln but with a unique move of sending 5 AoEs, causing you to be more on the move than not. Our search takes us to Timberfall, a place which resides a massive tree that probably was around when the ancestors were alive, giving us the location of the Ironheart, in the shelter. The shelter as a dungeon is a little different just based on the circumstances and a small change up. Outside of the usual running, dealing with an array, they give us a mini boss that's none other than Greg? Which I mean, it's something new at least. Outside of that, apparently Crybaby Jeremy has gone MIA in here as well. Pseudo as the boss here, apparently now having the power of Descendant, which, okay buddy, that's oh so threatening, you know. I'm shivering in my boots. At least he's a step up from the others we got, interlacing regular shots with cryo shots. He can summon turrets that can provide supporting fire and one that can heal. Invuln does that, requiring you to destroy them in order to deal damage to him again. Dungeon overall was slightly better just because it added more to it than others so far. Now, we finally get to that second Ironheart. Oh, you thought it would be that easy for you to get? No? Well guess what? No! And it's for one of the stupidest reasons I've ever seen. Dickwad Jeremy shows up acting all high and mighty as if he did all the work to get the Ironheart. Man tries to touch it and instantly gets rejected because the man's Riz can't top ours. Then he just tells us to leave and he'll guard it, while we get backup. He's totally not giving us sus vibes at all. Totally not. And you wanna know what happens? We just go ahead and leave it with him. Our character sees him, his body language and everything, and decides, oh yeah, I should leave the guy who treats me like a dumbass, acting like he's tough shit, and I should listen to him. Jeremy is so cool for getting the Ironheart if we get back. Well, guess what? He just takes it and runs away once we leave, which we have to chase him down to get him back. Ah! Like, this could have just not happened if our character wasn't a dumbass. The first time we don't get orders from our superiors and we decided to just listen to this snarky to head ass over here. Before I go balls to the walls about how many times I want to tiger drop iPad baby Jeremy in Minecraft, we gotta deal with the Executor Colossus. Does massive sword attacks that cover a decent range. Shoots electric projectiles, including one that homes in and shoots at its own projectiles. He tries to railgun you with a concentrated sword attack as well. Its frenzy phase makes him only acceptable to any damage from the back of its head. The railgun turns into a concentrated single blast, and it warps to a random spot and tries to slam down on top of you. Either deal enough damage to defrenzy it, or hold out until it calms down. Overall, it's an enjoyable fight. We head to Echo Swamp as that's where Jeremy was last seen, sending a fellow descendant named Asimo with the help of Enzo, while we triangulate where in the swamps Jeremy is. We hear from Asimo that his squad was enamored by Jeremy since he had the Ironheart, showing that he became a tyrant wanting power. We head into our next instance dungeon, the Seed Vault, where Jeremy is looking for the materials that the Vulgus use for body enhancement. With no sign of him, we take this as an opportunity to blow the place up so he and the Vulgus lose precious resources. Same dungeon as the others before with another boss that's like Greg, but this time they shoot poison damage, draw massive poison AoEs on top of you, and have an invul that requires you to shoot the head. Don't get me wrong, this is content. Decent content to a certain degree. But it becomes monotonous when it's nothing but going through a straight line, stopping and destroying an array of communication, and leading to a boss. Like yeah, it looks different, but not by much. It's the same caves and caverns we've been getting before, but just green. Like they say, variation is the spice of life. Even the smallest amount can turn something from trash to gold. Somehow it was all for naught. Us blowing up the vault as Jeremy still ends up getting the materials he needs. Saying that,
You guys are focusing on the wrong thing. The Vulgus are still gonna defeat us if the dimensional wall isn't broken. Wah 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 wah.
so that was a bit of a waste of time. But we chase him down to a place where a Colossus rests. With time running out though, as Carl's ship floats above it, we make haste into it. Dungeon is the same as the others. Kill mobs, protect a shrine, and face up against Grenache, which is just a tougher variation of the flying bots. Nothing much to write about there, but what happens afterwards is what really helps the dungeon.
Take care of any descendants who followed. Only one more left. Yes! Yes!
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with that punching bag of a person. Thank fuck, finally. Even though it was a positive that we lost him, it's also a negative because Carl ended up with the second Ironheart, which means there's only one left we gotta snag. Before we head there, however, we must defeat another Colossus. Death Bride, a really aggressive fight. Gotta stay on the move as she will pelt you with icicles and fire shots. Invuln as she spreads an ever-growing frost AoE that needs to be dodged. Charges a railgun as well. It is very similar to Stunning Beauty, but thankfully not as much of a reskin. With that out of the way, we hit the Agna as reports of a red spear linked to what could be our third Ironheart. Agna is just a desert wasteland, except for one area that we will talk about shortly. Teaming up with Luna and Kyle, we pinpoint a clue in the asylum, the next dungeon. It's not a bad one. They start finally having proper obstacles like lasers, and you won't believe this one. Lasers that spin, spin, spin! Outside of that, the interior design is similar to that from Sterile Land. The boss is just Greg but chonky, who tries to pull off his best Iron Man impression. Figuring out that the Ironheart is within some ball-esque structure, we make our way towards it, stopping at our next instant dungeon for DNA of an animal called a Caligo, which was around at the time when the ancestors were alive and had the toughness of a Colossus. We head to its resting place, the Caligo Ossuary. The dungeon was more of a generic kill baddies and then focus on the boss, with nothing really noteworthy outside of that. The boss itself shooting poison damage at you, and during its invuln it summons canisters you have to destroy in order to make it damageable again. The one thing that kinda just falls flat is these commanders just not feeling that engaging. They feel like a gust of wind would just blow them away, or are just dead weight. We finally make it to the orb, or the Mirage Stone it's called. This is the place I was foreshadowing a bit ago. This part of the area is actually unique instead of the generic things we've been seeing before. Like yes, it's a chasm, but the menacing orb in the middle and the floating blocks of stone and dirt add an element of uncertainty to the whole area. Really wish more places in the game actually spin more unique things than just generic grasslands, deserts, and whatnot. We begin our push towards the center of the chasm, to the orb dealing with Vulgus that stand in our way, which includes Commander Grimov, who is all talk and no bite by the end of it. But with the flick of the arc weapon, we finally have an Ironheart. Finally, after who knows how long, we finally get something going our way. We learn more about inversion, something I didn't really mention up until now because it didn't seem to mean much except that Carl is using it to destroy the dimensional wall by inverting the Ironhearts he has. Guide tells us that the ancestors knew about that sort of thing, wondering if her purpose is to keep the Ironhearts safe from danger. Good old plot timing comes in telling us that we can't bring in the Ironhearts ourselves, cause say it with me now, another Colossus has attacked Albion! Devourer is a pretty fun fight, full on aggressive as fuck as well. Chasing you down, constantly pelting you with poison, be it through melee attacks, lingering crystal shots that stay where they are shot, or regular gunshots. Invuln is unique, having to destroy 3 healing canisters under a barrier, meaning you gotta run and gun them ASAP as he continues to try to kill you. Fun fight. I approve.
Excellent argument. Approved.
Now you'd think, since we stopped Carl from getting the last Ironheart, we technically have the advantage and close the wall. Well, you were wrong, cause lo and behold, now we are being told that we can't use it since there is risks of using it, which is like,
But wait! There's more!
it comes off as padding, just like how this game feels like in general of a lot of its stuff so far, which I will save more so at the end of this whole thing. We head to White Knight Gulch, which let me just get this off my chest right now. Where the hell was this in the game prior? Unique buildings, interesting landmarks, and proper scope of what this place is. We have actual unique world design here. Everything prior was the run-of-the-mill, Earth-esque locations with the usual deserted buildings from Kingston, to the things in Star Land just being desert with mining facilities and so forth. Here at the Gulch, there are actually interesting aspects like goddamn eyes straight out of the Lord of the Rings watching down below you. Structures that are not from here in the sense of nature. Woo boy, let me tell you about the biggest things that the Gulch gives that makes this the best area in the whole game. The dungeons are actually the only ones that are made fully unique. Now, you may be wondering what I mean by that. Design and scope are what makes them good. Mystery's End being our first dungeon, a full push to get the prime hands that the Vulgus have in their control. We got someone beckoning us to come in, which if you notice is the same color as the guides. Beginning already makes a good impression with floating platforms you have to maneuver. The voice pleading more to bring the Ironheart towards it, everyone in command talking how off-putting it comes off as. The dungeon really stretches itself a bit with us going through the intricacies that power, cool, and make the prime hands work. Funnily enough, everything prior to this felt copy and pasted. Even the music is unique, I believe, to everything prior. The mysterious voice turned out to be a female Vulgus commander, with one totally unique move of putting you inside of an ice cube, which if you just run out of, you instantly freeze from. But as you can see, there is an actual setup for the dungeon and a sense of its originality and such, feeling more refreshed and invigorating. There's a proper story arc. What I mean by this is more so about the characters that are helping with everything that you're doing in the game, be it Bunny, Kyle, Farah, and the others. Using the Doctor as a proper arc that actually gets proper payoff, a doctor looking for his medical team and praying that they are alive. At first, you might be inclined to think, oh, this really isn't anything I shouldn't really have to necessarily worry about or think about, since a lot of stuff in prior levels don't really come off a pair for these characters. Well, guess what happens in the second dungeon? The Biolab. Woo boy, this was good. A dungeon that gets more and more decrepit as you go deeper and deeper into it, as if you were going into the belly of the beast, as eyes cover the black tar-like walls. It's really appealing. These two dungeons feel like a full course meal compared to the others feeling like breadcrumbs. Back to the dungeon though. Having to dodge acid pools, the flesh-like walls showing up more and more and more as we descend further down, till we find Eugen at the bottom where we fight our boss, the Dreadful Abomination, which itself isn't a great fight, but it's the context. That Abomination is his medical team, and the voice acting actually works here. It doesn't feel phoned in at all, really.
Captain! Captain! I don't want to die like this!
Everybody's here.
Riven, Mina, the vital signs from that monster. Don't tell me.
Captain, kill us.
Everybody, don't shoot. Don't shoot! Those are my core members. They're medical core members. I can fix them. I can heal them with my arcade. Please, don't shoot. I'm begging you. Please.
Eugen, it's too dangerous! And they're already...
Riven. Mina. Hey. No. Please. Ah! HQ, reporting results of the operation. We've confirmed evidence of large-scale Vulgus production at the Order of Truth's main base. Production scale is approximately 20 times larger than Albion's total forces. Also, missing medical corps members. All members confirmed to be KIA.
It makes me feel that everything that had occurred in White Knight Gulch had proper impact and actually leaves a bit of a lasting impression compared to the rest of the game at least. Other than Jeremy dying, which was 100% worth seeing. Now, what were we talking about before I did the glaze of 87 on the Gulch? Oh yeah, the Ironheart stuff. So I'm just going to fast forward you through everything real quick. We try to use the Ironheart at the Prime Hands, which turns out doesn't really work for us that much as the Colossus distracts our location and tries to kill us. Stopping it, Guide realizes that we gotta invert the Ironhearts and destroy them.
What a twist!
So we go to Hagos, which is just Dollar General Agni Desert, to find Amon and get the Ironheart that they inverted hours ago before we head to their fortress and destroy it. Which is what we do. We get the Ironheart and just do a final push to the fortress in the snowy mountains with some crashed Vulgus ships and such. We get to the inverter chamber to destroy it and the Ironheart, but for once we get a commander that actually is fully unique and actually comes off as a threat. Kulon is our final boss as a base game, going from a massive drop attack, force multiple AoEs to surrender position, and chucking the blades off his body as projectiles if he can't go in for the kill. Invuln is great as you are forced to stay on your toes, hitting these drones that circle the entire area as he makes clones to do multiple attacks towards you. He's the only commander in the entire game that felt weighty as a fight itself. We save the day, destroy the Ironheart and the fortress. Carl retreats and we return to Alpha, letting us know that we may not get the support from the Magisters. Yeah, remember them? Well, they offered us a trade. We give them Ironhearts and they give us technology and other things that can help us deal with the Vulgus. Which, should say this now, they are part of the race as well. They are part of the Vulgus. Like, bruh. Us destroying it kind of puts our alliance out of balance for a little bit with them. But that's it. That's the whole game. Base game at least. It took me 28 hours to do all that. I've got issues with the game, and it's not even about the monetization or drop rates. The player experience of going through the game on normal difficulty was a huge and massive slog. Have I ever told you about the definition of insanity?
The exact same fucking thing over and over again. Expecting shit to change. That is crazy.
Because that's how it felt like. You got good gunplay, you got good character kits, but that doesn't matter if the loop is monotonous. The Colossus fights were good. The rest of the fights except for the final commander were just boring. The sound of the instance dungeons needed to have more flair and keep the player engaged, as skin tight outfits can only help for so long. Do I still recommend the game after all that? No and yes. If you have nothing better to do and are waiting for new games, sure, go for it. But have at least one friend to help make it not as dreadful. If you are doing it solo, if you are a masochist, more power to ya. If you ain't up for all the stuff that I talked about, just go play Warframe. It's overall a more content-rich and better designed game in my opinion. Now keep in mind, I haven't done all the season updates or farmed for any of the ultimate characters or do the character stories, so my opinion on the game can change. But as of finishing just the base game with 28 hours, it's just much of a 5 out of 10 kind of game. It's just hella mid. So yeah, that was the First Descendant. Yeah, it was a video I worked on. Yeah, you can say that much at least. Reason why it took a while to be made actually was just because my computer was dying. The GPU was pretty much gonna blow up. And yeah, weather isn't really helping as well. It's made me like just die in bed like over and over again. But yeah, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please like, favorite, and subscribe as usual. You know, the next video shouldn't take as long as this did, hopefully. But yeah, if you'd like, you can go watch my original video on the tutorial aspects of the game. But yeah, I'll see you probably at the end of the month for the next video, which hopefully won't take that long. Peace out, take care, and have yourself a good one.